Hey, folks, welcome back to the Hope Changes Everything podcast. This is episode number 5. And today we have the one and only Pam Gould with us from STEP, which, if I get this right, Pam, is the Strategic Twin Counties Education Partnership.
Excellent.
Awesome.
That is exactly
so
what it
proud of
stands
myself.
for. I know.
That is great. Well, Pam, we asked you to come today because you've done a lot of work, obviously related to improving education in the Twin Counties. That's what STEP does, right?
Correct. Yes.
And there is an initiative that you are part of called My Future NC.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I've actually been honored to be in some of those meetings myself and really gotten some great information from that. And there's a lot of good distillation of information that My Future NC has done
yes.
on where we are in Nash and Edgecombe counties that really help us get a good picture.
Right.
And I don't know that the average person out there really understands where we are.
Right.
And part of the point of having you here is I want for people to understand that, and for us to hopefully send out this sense of urgency that I think both of us feel about making progress right in our area, because we need to.
Correct. So thank you, first of all, for having me. And thank you for being such a great collaborator with us at STEP. We value your input and all of your suggestions. But as we're here talking about My Future NC and the 2 million by 2030 goal, I say it's My Future NC, but there was a goal set of 2 million highly qualified workers needed by 2030 to fill the workforce gap. Of course, we now know that is somewhat of an underestimate because North Carolina is growing by leaps and bounds with new companies coming here. And if we stay at that rate, then we know we're going to need more than 2 million extra. And it's above and beyond where we're headed now, right? So it's the 2 million, almost 2 million extra. So, and so we became a part of My Future NC. We're one of 15 local collaboratives selected across the state to lead the local education attainment goal. And so we're called a LEAC, Local Education Attainment Collaborative. It's kind of like another arm of STEP. And so we are a connector, and we're a connector for our public schools and for all of our schools out there, but mainly for our future workforce, and leading that effort in our piece of that 2 million goal.
Right.
Well, it's great that My Future NC provides all this data for us, because you have to know where you are before you can set the goal of where you're going.
That's right.
And we know that we have a lot of work to do, but just how much work do we have to do?
Yeah. Okay,
things are not great. Well, just how bad are they?
Right.
Where are we in the scheme of things? And not a report card, a letter grade that our schools get, but really digging deep into the overall data that includes all of our students from all of our schools and where we are.
Yeah.
And so I think the thing that has alarmed most people when they look at these county profiles, which are available for anybody to look at, is our literacy rate. Mm-hmm. And so when we pulled together our steering committee for the LEAC, we looked at these county profiles and pulled 3 areas for us to begin really setting some goals and pulling together community stakeholders to start chipping away towards that end goal.
Yeah. Because, we've done a pretty good job, not me personally, but the people that work in that area of recruiting businesses to our area, right?
Correct.
Some big ones coming.
Right.
But we've got to have the workforce.
We do.
in order.
And it's bigger than just us. Like a lot of times people will say, well, we don't have the people. Well, when a company comes and looks, they're not just looking at Edgecombe and Nash County, they're looking at about 19 counties in the surrounding areas.
Right.
So when we say we have to provide the workforce, it really is a regional effort.
Right.
But we are responsible for our piece of it.
That's right.
Which is Edgecombe and Nash.
That's
exactly.
Right. And Pam, before we start, I want to dig into the numbers some, but before we do that, I feel like we need to say two things up top. Number one, even though the numbers aren't where we hope they will be,
right.
There are a lot of really good teachers out there in our public schools that are working their hearts out to do the best for our kids that they can and get them where they need to be. The same for administrators, right? And same for the people at central office. There's a ton of people out there that are giving their lives to making things better for our kids.
Yes.
And the second thing is we need to applaud the progress that we're making, right? Because the last 2 years in a row, there's been progress in standardized testing numbers, especially Nash County, actually.
Yes.
Lately that have really been encouraging.
Absolutely.
Right. And so the arrow's pointed in the right direction.
That's right.
The question is, how do we make that a steeper climb there and make some real progress?
Yeah.
I tell you, when I first started looking at these, one of the things that jumped off the page at me was this measurement of chronic absenteeism. The school district would say that chronic absenteeism is missing more than 10% of days, right?
Yes.
And when I first started looking at these numbers, it was maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And for our two counties, that number was right at 40% of our students. And I was like, you have got to be kidding.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that number is that high, that 40% of our kids will miss more than 10% of the school days.
Right. Yeah.
And now this year, the latest numbers we have, that number has come down. Edgecombe County is 37%. Nash County is 29%.
Yes.
So, it's coming down, and that's a good thing. And I think part of that is probably due to COVID, right? And coming off of COVID, because you got a generation of kids that got used to not going to school really quick.
Correct.
And so when they went back to school, getting them back in that habit of this is your job every day to be at school was something. And honestly, I feel like some of our families, kind of gotten that thing where, well, you don't have to go today, that kind of thing. And it's like, no, you've got to be there. If we're behind and we're trying to make up ground, we can't do that when we're missing, a month of school.
Exactly. And a lot of times in a classroom, one day builds on another day.
Right.
And so if you miss a day, then you've missed possibly that whole skill. And to build on that skill, you come in lost already.
Right.
And I think that especially the last couple of years, there really has been an attendance campaign to try to boost attendance and not to mention to try to eliminate tardies. Like when you pull up to a school, or when I'm visiting a school and there's like 5 cars and the bell's already rung, and I get it, right? Because I'm a mom. I get it. It's tough sometimes just to get out that door. But even being tardy, it's amazing how much you miss just missing 30 minutes of class or one class period or whatever, just coming in late. So a lot of that can't be recaptured easily.
Yeah. It's a challenge for sure. Well, you were talking about the literacy numbers, and the latest numbers that we have in front of us when we're looking at 3rd to 8th graders in Nash County, we have 18% of our 3rd to 8th graders that are earning college and career ready scores on our testing, right? In Edgecombe County, that number is 15%.
Right.
So again, it's improved slightly, and that's a good thing. But those numbers are really low because when you sit back and think, okay, in 12 years or 15 years, this is our workforce.
Correct.
These are our city leaders.
That's right.
All those things. Man
is right. That's right.
Yeah. And so those are huge numbers, unfortunately, not in a positive way. And so I know what you've been working on and what the LEAC has been working on is,
Right.
okay, what's it going to take for us to really turn this around and really make the progress that we need to make? Because I think like the state goal for reading scores is like 76% or something like that.
I think it is.
Yeah. That's a long,
and we set a local
ways.
goal of 70%,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Knowing that is a big bite. It's big.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's hard not to get overwhelmed with that. But, you know,
Yeah.
I keep saying to everybody, and I'm sure you agree, is like when we look at like the state of education in America, you know, the number's bad.
Right.
When we look at the state of North Carolina, our number's worse than the national number, right? But those things seem too big for us. But when we're talking about our own town, our own community,
Right.
that can't be too big for us. This is where we live. And if we care enough that we choose to make this a priority,
Correct.
it can be fixed.
It can be. And I'll say it's everybody's business.
Right.
It is not just personal, like in your home and your kid and well, you know, they go to a great school and they have a great teacher, but if you're an employer, it's your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you do anything here, it's your business because you should desire for us to have great schools for every child and great opportunities.
Yep.
And we are only going to win. And it is going to take a real community effort with everyone focused with what the eye of the prize is out there, right? And working together. And what our goal was in the beginning as the LEAC, or really what one of our roles was to bring this awareness of, well, just where are we, right? Oh, 15%, 18%, or and our other two goals have to do with FAFSA completion and CTE alignment with our local labor force. But if you just take literacy itself, oh my gosh, it's just like, how are we ever going to get from 15% to 70? Well, we're going to get there one bite at a time is what we're going to do. And all of us joining forces.
Yeah. And Pam, you know where Peacemakers is focused is on our low income kids. And when we say 18 or 15%, we're talking about every kid in every school
in the
across the
counties.
county,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
If we break out our low income kids and look just at them, that number is, I would say, horrifying, right? It's because, and I say horrifying because I know a lot of those kids and I know how smart they are.
Right.
And I know what a waste it'll be if they're not put in the position to have every opportunity that they should have to be successful.
Right.
But because they've got a lot to offer us as a community, and it's unfortunately they're just not in a position to be able to make the progress
that is correct. And you know, it is a complex problem, right? And you hear, if you look at it statewide, we know that in the East, we just don't have the resources that Raleigh and West have. You can walk in any school in another county,
right,
west of here, and you would physically see the difference in resources. So then when you're looking locally and you drill it down to us and you start looking at different areas, neighborhoods, you know, then it manifests itself again.
It does, yeah.
And when you're looking at low income in our area, what I believe is just one of the factors is quality childcare.
Mm-hmm.
If you walk into a kindergarten classroom today, you can stay in there 15 minutes or less, and you can point out which child had the opportunity to attend quality childcare, preschool,
Mm-hmm.
and those that did not have any opportunity for that.
Right.
When they walk into kindergarten, they're already behind. And so I think that there has to be a foundation, a strong foundation. And of course, we say, well, the parents need to do this but it really is bigger than that when we start peeling that all away.
It really is.
It really is.
And, you can blame the district, you can blame
yes.
whatever, the parents,
Yes.
you can blame whoever, but you can't blame the kid.
That's right.
Because we know it's not their fault.
That's right.
It doesn't do a whole lot of good, I don't think, to cast blame. I think what does good is say, okay, how can we come around this group of children that have this much potential and give them what they need to be successful?
I always say you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. Well, we want to be a part of the solution. Peacemakers wants to be a part of the solution, right?
Absolutely.
And so and I feel like there's lots of people out there that want to be a part of the solution, but they don't know how.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Pam, this is great. We got to continue this conversation in our next episode if we can, because we're out of time, but appreciate you coming today. Thank you guys for being with us, and join us next week on Hope Changes Everything podcast.